Hello and welcome to the Feedback Show. I'm Stephen Bradley.
And I'm Colin Bradley.
Um, hi, Dad. You all right?
Hello, Steve.
I,
Only- oh,
I
I'm
was,
fine.
I was going to say this is going to be a bit of a funny feedback show, and apologies in advance because, like last week, we've got a special guest who is climbing all over my desk right now. Harley, say hello, Harley. Thank you. Um, Little cat, and so just a warning. I You may have to run this show, Dad.
Oh, okay.
While I chase around the cat to stop her from cutting off the video or uh, completely deleting everything that I have on screen. Anyone that has a
Uh,
cat must know how I feel.
well, you were saying earlier you can't shut her out. You can't, otherwise she'll cry. So you can't do anything with her at the moment, can
No,
you?
no. It's
You just have to put up with it.
so at least for a little while. She's on heat, bless her, at the moment. So she's a bit hormonal. So when she's not on heat, she will be
Oh,
peacefully sleeping in the corner.
oh, good.
But for the moment, she's sort of still a kitten, so she's running around. Bless her. Anyway, um, you all right? Yes, you're good.
Yes,
Um,
I'm fine. Yeah,
Lots
yeah,
of
I'm great.
projects you've been giving me recently. Thank you for
I
that.
have. That's all right, and I'm in the well. I'm three-quarters of the way through a really ambitious one, which I should talk to you about later. Not on the show, but later. And it's I love it at the moment. I'm doing more than ever, um,
I know,
and I'm thoroughly enjoying it.
I know you are. I've got 10 pictures that you've given me that I've got to edit.
Oh my goodness me!
Yes, quite a backlog. The last one took me quite a long time. That picture was 8 hours,
Was
viewers.
it?
Eight
Gosh.
hours of raw footage you gave me, Dad. Thanks for that. So it's not cut by much either. So
It, well, it's very hard with a picture of that kind. I can tell people it's a landscape with a lot in it, and it's very hard to cut. I cut back as much as I could in the production of the picture. I thought, well, they've seen that, so they don't need to see that. So it would have been 12 hours long otherwise if I hadn't done. So, but it's a lovely picture, and people are going to love it. It's packed full of technique, which is really what people want to see.
that's
So, and I agree with you. If you start chopping and cutting, you could be cutting something that's really valuable on the cutting room floor, so to speak.
yeah. So that's just to give people a taste of what we're up to now. It's that
Mm.
level of quality of picture. That's the standard. That people will. Few will be at that standard, but lots have got to aspire to that, and give it a go anyway. Obviously,
Mm.
um,
Mm.
but it is
Well,
a different level.
yeah, to give you an idea, at the moment, the picture I'm doing is another masterclass.
Mm.
It's got to be. It's going to be hard. But the important thing about it is people may not want to do this particular picture, but the techniques I show are invaluable.
Mm.
So you can apply it to your own pictures. This is the whole idea of this. To try to put content on the member site, which you'll never find anywhere else.
Yeah.
And it's coming alive. We knew it last year. It was good last year. Towards the end of the year, things were really hotting up, and now with the prospects of this year, with all the lovely things we've got in store for everybody, I think it's going to be a super year. The thing, of course, is Steve, how do you top that? You know, if this is a fantastic year, will not 2018 have to be even better one?
Well, I
Yeah,
think I
it
think
makes you think.
so. Yeah.
But it makes you think, doesn't it? However, once we reach a standard and a level, and even if it levels out, I think people are still going to be thrilled with what we're going to come up with.
Mm. Mm. And we're releasing a lot of projects recently. It's nearly, well, most of the time it's one a week.
Yes.
So we're trying to cram as much in as we can
Mm.
so people are really spoilt for choice at the moment.
Yeah. Well, I think it's nice that that will happen, and we can keep it going for a little while in the foreseeable future, anyway. And then we may have to pull back a bit, otherwise we might be running out. But you know, it. But I think these winter months, anyway, people perhaps are spending more time. I know I'm spending more time uh, drawing and painting than I would do in the summer because I tend to be out and about.
Mm.
So I think this is probably a good time to actually release these during these darker days of the UK
Mm.
winter.
Certainly. Okay, so feedback show number 23. Lots of submissions to talk about today, lots of fantastic pieces of art. So let's start with the first one. From Paul. Paul says, I am sending you my latest painting. This was very challenging. I found the sky and rainbow the most difficult. The sky was a nightmare and kept me awake for a few nights. I tried every day to get it right. I approached the drawing every day for 3 days to get it right, and I even went on to another picture to leave it alone for a while. Anyway, I don't think it turned out too bad in the end. I did recognise the castle from the snow scene of, I don't know how to say that word,
Yeah,
Alien,
I think you're
Eileen,
right. Yeah.
Donnan Castle. How different do they both look? Anyway, I hope it's not too bad, and I look forward to Colin's feedback once again. Many thanks, Paul.
Okay. Well, I think you've done really well. The reflection of the castle in the water is really good. Now we're going to deal, as we always do, with your particular problems, sky and rainbow. I know this is a difficult thing to do, and this is the reason why I did it. The whole idea of this is to try to give you techniques which are challenging. And by golly, this was. I think you've done a pretty good job of that, Sky, and there's not really very much I can say about it, except it looks as though you have done and spent a long time on it, which is good. And another thing I like about it, just picking up what you said about breaking away from a picture. Once you get to a situation, it's a good idea to break away and start something else or do something else and come back to it. Very often when that happens, when you come back to a thing, it doesn't look quite as bad as you thought it did in the first place. Now, as far as the rainbow is concerned, that's hard because you have to go across the pastel, and pastel doesn't dry. Now, in a way, I think this is actually helping in terms of getting the realism of a rainbow, because if you just use paint on that, it would look as though the rainbow was painted on, stuck on. The fact that you're using pastel, it tends to merge into the other colors underneath, and that gives it that kind of translucent effect, which you can see. But again, I think you've done really well, and put it to one side or sell it or whatever you do with it, with the confidence that you've done a pretty good job. We're being quite critical here, but someone else looking at that who hasn't seen the original or would be delighted
Mm.
with it. You've got the lighting of the castle right, which is another thing that I was keen on doing. So I think you should be congratulated with that. It's a good
Anything that
picture.
you can suggest for people that want to do this picture, especially the rainbow, how tricky that is? Any
Yeah.
tips that you can give for that?
Well, I think the tips are watch the video over and over again until you understand what I'm doing. There isn't any tips I can give you now, more than I've given you on the picture itself. The, the it If you look at the red particularly, um, it's richer on mine than it is on Paul's, and this is the reason being that I was a little more confident with it. That's what you've got to be, a bit more confident.
Mm.
It's easy to say, you know, but when you hesitate, you think, oh, should I do this? That's why I'm saying go back and look at the picture again, look at the video again, because in the video I explain my problem. I'd never done a rainbow before I started this, so I was slightly hesitant, but I still went at it with a confidence.
Mm.
And that's what you've got to do. Everything you do has got to have a confidence behind it. And you say, it's all very well for me to say it, but it's not easy to actually put that into practice.
Mm.
But once you've done the best, go for it. That's the best tip I can give you.
Great. Nice work, Paul. Well done. Next is from Michelle. Hi, Colin and Steve. Happy New Year to you both. I know Colin has always advised not to do any work off a really poor reference picture, but a friend's dog recently died, and I wanted to give her as a gift, as a reminder of better days. The best photo I could steal is so poor you can hardly see the detail. Also, the background is terrible. The question is, I deliberately left out the background. I've put some shadow underneath them to start with, but as it was Christmas time, I'd run out of time to get in touch with yourselves. My friend is delighted and she hasn't stopped crying yet. It's framed up on the wall and it's not coming back. I'd love some advice, please, on how to make the picture complete. And if Fiona watches the feedback show, she may decide to have the changes made. Kind regards, Michelle.
I'd hesitate here. If she's really happy with it, I'd leave it well alone. I wouldn't touch it. Don't show her and don't tell her what I'm going to tell you now. All right? Because you've done a brilliant job of a very poor picture, and you should be congratulated for that. But I'm going to get Stephen to do his magic now.
Okay.
You've got your pointer ready, mate?
Yes.
Right. I want you to go first of all to the top of the picture and bring it down until I tell you to stop. Stop. No, a little bit higher than that. Stop. That's it. Okay. Now for the bottom of the picture and go up. Okay. That's lovely. That'll do. Now, what that gives us is a very odd-looking picture. But watch what we do next. On the left-hand side, bring it in. Stop. No, a bit more. But that's it. Stop. Yep. Now the right-hand side, bring that a bit in. Stop. Now let it go. You see how much different that now looks to what it did before. Okay, you say. The poor doggies have lost paws, but the concentration of this picture is in the faces and the heads and the resting of the face on the body. That looks much, much, much improved.
Right.
But this is why I say don't show your friend, because if you do, and she said, I want it, you've got all sorts of problems. You've got framing, reframing, all sorts of things to do. I think you've done a really good job of it. If it was me, I would have probably darkened the lower part of that picture just a little bit more. That's all I would have done.
Okay.
You see, the problem is if you go to the left of the picture where the dog is laying there, that section there. When you look at it, does it look as though it's actually flying? It looks as though there's nothing underneath it.
Yeah, it's hard, isn't
Got
it,
it?
to get that perspective?
No, this is why if you're looking at a picture like this, you wouldn't do it. I wouldn't do it. I'd have said, I'm really, really sorry. Or I would have chopped it around, and you can't. What I could have said to you, Steve, take that picture in a bit more and lose that bit. But I don't think you can do that really. You'd lose the whole effect of the picture, in my opinion. So I think you've got to stick with it. But had you made that darker with a more shadow underneath it, it would have represented the fact that it was laying on something and not just swinging in the air. If you go back the other way and you restore that picture to what it was originally, Steve, you'll find that it's not as bad. It doesn't look as bad. You see what I mean? So anyway, that's my opinion. So I hope it helps you. But my advice is, first of all, don't do a poor picture again, no matter how much you feel sorry for the people, because you're the one that's going to suffer for it in sleepless nights and worry and all the other things. And you owe it to the person to do the best you can. I know the dog's dead. I've been through all of this myself, but honestly, it's not worth it. Never mind. You've done a great job, and you got the desired effect. Your friend loves it, and they're not. As I said before in the last picture, we're being critical, but other people aren't. They're going to say, "Oh, it's beautiful," because they're looking at it differently than we are.
Good point. Good point. Nice one, Michelle. Thanks. Next one's from Greg. Hello, Steve. I discovered a site called Paint My Photo, a social networking site dedicated to sharing photos for artistic inspiration without fear of infringing copyright. I downloaded a photo of a blue jay, and this is my first attempt from drawing to completion. Your European finch instruction video was instrumental in my attempt of the blue jay. I had two challenging areas, the wing and the tail feather. In the photo, the blue in these areas has a glow, and I was tempted to try a metallic pencil, but thought it may turn out too glitzy. I also think the black lines may be too wide and prominent. Regards, Greg.
Absolutely right. Oh, don't do that. Folks, don't try that. Don't try to make things, glitter or anything like that. Don't do it. You can do that, and I could have done that. And what you do is you put the light on the top of the back. Look at the photograph for a moment, rather than your picture. You can see that light glistening on the top of that. Had you put the white on first, and then the grey maybe on, and then put the blue on, and rather than a solid area which you've got on your picture, let some of the colours sparkle through. You'd have got that effect.
Okay. So let some of the base colour give you that lighter.
The base colour is the key to this, putting the white and the grey, and maybe a little bit of pink on as well would have been good on that. Then put the blue on, and the blue would have gone on, but not strong. Don't go, mad at it. And you could have, with a little bit of help, you could have, brought that through. It's a little bit solid, but don't put glitter. Don't try to put anything like that on. Doesn't work. What was the other bit? Sorry.
The black lines may be a bit too wide and prominent.
On where? On the tail?
I think that's, I think the areas he was struggling with were the tail feather and the wing. So
no. Well, yes. Well, arguably, yes. I suppose you could say that, and that's just a matter of, you see, if you look at it, the tail divisions for the wing is a little hard. On the picture, they don't exist. If you look at the picture, there isn't. There's like a very faint blue, dark bluish, greyish line instead of a black line. So that's one thing I would have done. But what I'd like to pick up on, if I may, is the feathers under the grey, under the blue, on the chest particularly.
Yeah.
These are areas where you have to work very hard at getting the barrel look. What's happened is when you put pastel on and you don't pay attention to the contour, you get a flat animal. It's like it's been ironed. I usually use that analogy. It looks as though you've ironed the bird. But if you look at the photograph, you'll see that it's got the very subtle changes of tone. We've got a picture coming up in the next few months. I won't give it away, but it's a picture that will help you with this kind of thing, because we're doing a very roundish animal. And you'll see how I get over that. So look forward to that. And that would have helped you had you seen that. Although it's not a bird, to have seen how you get those subtle changes of tone.
Yeah.
This is why it's important, some of these pictures that we do, not necessarily want to do them, but they give you the key to unlock the problem.
The goldfinch had a little bit of that though, didn't it?
Yes, it did. It did. Yes, it did.
Grace used. So it's maybe just worth revisiting just to
we'll see how I did
technique. Yeah.
But the thing is that this is a darker chest than the goldfinch. That was just white. But I did introduce the grey. But now I've pointed out, you probably wouldn't have seen it if I hadn't pointed it out. But the fact that I pointed it out to you, you can now say, oh, right, yeah, I see what you mean.
Okay. Good. I hope that helps, Greg, and anyone else watching as well. I hope that's useful.
And the other thing, can I just say one other thing I would have done? I would have used the background on the original picture, not the one you put on.
Right. Okay. Could have kept that the
yes, I think. Well, that's a lovely background, and I would have kept it.
Okay. Good. Nice one, Greg. Next one's from Cheryl. Hi, Stephen Colin. I finished the second sunset landscape and wish to send it to you for feedback. I had more difficulty with this piece than the other. The clouds were my problem. They were too dark and took over the whole picture, so I got rid of some of the black and added more red. I'm still not happy with it, and having feedback from Colin would help enormously. I forgot to
Hmm.
tell you last time that I'm using the Canson Meton 160 gram paper, and it is white. This is probably why my pictures looked so bright. I have ordered Colin's pastel paper in A3 landscape, and it has arrived. Um, Thank you for your patience, Cheryl.
Great. Well, there's a couple of really good points there. Clouds again. These are a nightmare, aren't they? Clouds. Any landscape. God, at times I've been told that. Oh, it's always the clouds, and it's always the clouds, and especially on a sunset like that, that's really hard. You're absolutely right. If you look at the picture, my picture, it's much softer, much more red there than your one, and so what you did was the right thing. The fact that you've done it on white paper is not good. And if you look at mine, you'll see how the warm colours complement that picture, whereas white is too stark. But you know that now. That's good news. From now on, the sand coloured paper would make so much of a difference, not just to this picture, all future pictures too.
Yeah.
So it is a problem, and but again, if you take the clouds away, I should think you're absolutely thrilled with that because it's come up very well.
Yeah, I
And
think it's
had
excellent.
and had you done that on the Engrais paper, that would have been wow, fantastic. So well done.
Mm. Anything else to advise on
Mm,
there?
well, I can certainly help if you like. What I would do, you've got your little marker again. Now, this is not going to work brilliantly because the picture is skew whiff, right?
Yeah.
But we can have a go at it. Uh, Left hand side in and up. Uh, Now bottom up a bit, but we don't want to lose the rocks. That's it. Great. Well done. That's great. Now the top, chop it. Keep going. A little bit less than that. Leave that a little bit higher than that, just a touch. Just a bit higher than that. We've got to get the 2/3 rule to apply. Yep, that'll do. And let it go. Now, see how much better that looks. Now, what we've done there, we've still got the 2/3 rule. In other words, 2/3 sky, 1/3 water, and we've lost some of the clouds. If you look at mine looks more like that than yours did. You put too much cloud in.
Okay.
See how much? Look at
It
that now.
focuses a little bit more on the boat, doesn't it? And your attention goes a
Yeah,
little bit more
that's
to the
right.
boat. And
That's right.
yeah,
Yeah. Now that
that's
I
easy
would
enough to do.
honestly, Cheryl, I would do what I said. Look at that picture and then cut your picture accordingly.
Mm. There you go. Oh, cat's trying to climb up stuff. Okay. Don't know if anyone heard that. Um, Excellent. Well done, Cheryl. Next one from Gabrielle. Hi, Stephen Colin. I'm in the process of undertaking this project of a ginger cat and kitten. Would you kindly have a look and advise what you would recommend for a background? I really like the red one in the photo. If Colin could give me any more advice on the cats, it would be greatly appreciated.
Yes, well, I certainly wouldn't use the red. That would be too stark. There's no relation between red and the picture you've done. Generally speaking, I look at the eyes. Look at the eyes, and you see that sort of greeny, greyish look. So you could use that, and a little bit of white, a little bit of ochre, and you'd have to make that up. That one.
Yeah.
There is one small thing though, Gabrielle. I don't know whether you've noticed it. There, if you look, Stephen, if you go to the left ear, now just under the arrow there, you've got a bit missing.
Yeah.
I don't think it looks as though you've cut it short. I know if you look at the other side, you think, well, I'm sort of matching it, but you're not really. You need to fill that in, even if there's a little bit of fur there. That fur would look better if you just put a little
Yeah.
bit of that in there. So that's only a criticism, but it would be important that you did because you cut the cat off a little bit there. Bit of,
Well,
bit of,
how would that green background go on this paper? Because it looks like a different toned paper.
well, not as well as it does on ombre, I'm afraid. No, it would okay. No, that would work because it's not a horrible color. So even if that some of that color came through, it would look okay.
Mm.
No, I
Okay.
think that's all right, Steve. It would work, but you can't leave it like it is. Unfortunately, what you could have done, I suppose, is no, forget that. No, I do follow your own instincts on this, but I certainly wouldn't use the red. The red would be too stark. You see, what you're doing with the red is you're making the red stand out against the cat, and it doesn't support the cat. Then
Mm.
you've got to support the animal.
Yeah, that is adorable picture.
It's beautiful, isn't it?
Yeah,
Beautiful picture,
yeah,
and and it would be a lovely picture to do. It's done very well.
yeah. Anyway, I hope that helps, Gabriel. I hope, or let us know as you normally do. Let us know how it goes, and we'd love to see it. Next one from Peter. Steve, Colin, I've recently done drawing of Bramble, my Abyssinian
Abyss- Abyssinian, I think, isn't it?
Abyssinian
Yes, Abyssinian. Yeah.
cat, which recently passed away. I struggled with the colour and the fur. Any assistance would be appreciated. Attached is a reference photo which I lightened for the painting.
Mm. Um, Peter, first of all, um, if I was doing your picture or doing that picture, I wouldn't have done what you did at the bottom. Now, I know I've done it a few times, but this would have been better if you'd completed the neck and the top part of the body as it is on the picture. It would look better.
Right.
Okay, so that's the first thing I would have done. Um, you've got you've got a eye there which is startling. They really are great eyes, but you haven't really. Now, it may be that the picture is a little bit light. It's hard for me to tell. If you took a photograph of that, maybe the camera has lightened the eyes,
Mm.
but really, the eyes on the animal are stunning, and really you should have used them. And had you done that, and had that been stronger, you could have used the browns and with touches of greens for a background there as well. That would have looked lovely.
Mm.
Not too much, because if you'd made it a green background, it would be too stark. But you could have used green and ochre in the background, even if you'd put a slightly stronger colour on. You've got to be careful with a picture like this because you've got a medium tone cat. If you put a light background on, which you've done, it stands out a bit too much. If you put a dark background, it doesn't stand out enough. So you'll look at a medium tone background, I would say, on that too. And as far as the rest of the picture is concerned, you've just got to stick with it. You haven't got enough. You've got sometimes a little bit too much contrast, like the top of the head against the sides of the head is a bit too stark. It needs to be, quietened a little bit more
Mm.
and more evenly spaced. So
Is,
it's a hard one though, very hard to do.
is there anything that can be done with the eyes? Can we put a bit more green in there?
Um, well, the problem you have is
If
you
they're not,
can
if
do.
they are not as green, if they're, if they're greener than this picture's representing, then it's
Mm.
probably okay. But
Well, halfway, I would think, because if you made them as stark as the ones that in the photograph, it would show up too much against the fur. You haven't got enough strength in the fur to carry it. So I would be inclined to. You could put more green in, that's for sure, but greyish green, but I wouldn't overdo it.
mm,
Don't make them the same colour as the eyes on the photograph. Otherwise, it would be too. They'll all you'll see is two eyes
right, so not
when you
quite
look at the
as,
picture.
yeah, not quite as
No, this is
obvious.
a. That's right. This is a good example of balance. When you look at a picture, a photograph, and it's a lovely cat, a beautiful cat, and you look at the balance between the tones in the animal, everything works. Even the eyes, to a certain extent, still work because although they're stark and very strong and powerful, they're not they're not out of place on the cat.
Mm,
So that's all I would say. You would have a little bit of work to do if you wanted turn that cat into a really good picture. But certainly the background needs to be just a little stronger than that, just a bit.
Okay, it was good tips there. Thanks, Dad. And I hope that helps Peter and other people watching. Again, it's these eyes and backgrounds, the relationship between those two come into it. Last couple here from Jill. Jill says, "Hi, Stephen and Colin. I have a commission for these 3 portraits to do for the same person, and they are her favourite pics, so I am going to go with them. The eye on one has some white showing, which is actually true to life, and I've changed the ears in the light brown dig, as they don't look right tucked under. My question is with orientation, as they are going to be hung together, should I make the light brown dog and the black dog landscape, as the pics are already looking that way, or should I extend the necks and make portrait? I still don't know. I don't know if it would look right having some portrait and others landscape. The one at the end is an alternative one for the brown dog. I would also really like to know if they are all good pictures to paint quality-wise, and if it's okay to have one close up, one further away, if they're going to be shown together on the wall." So this is the same dog, this one.
Yep.
So what would you
Yep.
do here then? How would you orientate these pictures?
Well, if you're going to put 3 together, that's not too difficult to do. You got your little magic marker again?
Yep.
Okay, then. Let's start with the dog on the left-hand side.
Yeah.
And you want to cut in on, we want to make it just a little less than that. So cut in a little bit on the left.
On the left.
Yeah, that'll do. Yeah. And on the right as well, just a little. I think that would probably do, Steve. Yep, just trim it down a little bit. That's fine. Now, the dog in the middle, that you've got to make that a bit bigger, Steve. Just a little bit bigger altogether. Whole thing a little bit bigger. Yeah. Not as much as that. Just a little less, little less, little less. It's got to be even top and bottom, really. I would say that's probably quite good there. That's okay. Now, the one on the right, we've got to do the same as that. Forget the one on the bottom. The one on the top is ideal because that's it. They're all look. I'll explain that in a minute. That's fine. Now, what we want to do is to box it in a little bit more. You've got too much background showing. So it's on the right-hand side.
This one?
No, the other one. No, he's all right. The one on the right, that's it. That's it.
Yeah.
And on the other side, left-hand side, yeah. Okay, now we've got to make it the same size if we can as the one on the left-hand side. Yeah.
Slightly bigger.
Yeah, well, near enough. I mean, Jill will have to sort it out, but and of course the gap between them has to be less. No, I'd make it less than that, Steve, rather than something like that. That's pretty good. Now, overall, that would be how I would do it if it was me.
Okay.
So you've got 2 landscapes and 1 portrait.
Okay.
All right, that's how I would do it. That's how I would present it. This is presented very well. I've done it before in my early days of portrait work, so I know what I'm talking about. You've got to have something different in the middle. The dog facing you in the middle is spot on facing you. The dog on the left is looking to the right, and the dog on the right is almost looking at you, but it's got the orientation of looking the other way. Mm-hmm. See what I mean?
Yeah.
So there you go. That's your. And they're good photographs. They're not bad photographs at all. You've got the lights in the eye, which is the important thing. The only thing you've got to watch on a picture of this kind is the lighting. Now, if you were to put them in the same picture, well, you can't. You've got to do 3 different pictures there.
Yeah.
Because if you try to put them together, you'll find it really hard.
Yeah.
Because you'll have one small, one big, and all sorts. So what I used to do is draw a mount, put that in a frame with a mount around it, separating the animals. Mm-hmm. That's what I would do. Excellent. And you get away with that. It looked good.
Lovely. Okay, Jill. Last one. This looks like this is another commission that Jill's got, and the owner has been having trouble getting the eyes right in the photographs she's taking because of the light source, but she really wants this one as a painting. The dog's right eye looks so wrong because of the reflection, but wondered if I can adjust this myself to make it like the left eye. As you can just about see the outline of the pupil, the rest of the dog looks great, and it is only that eye. My main concern is, where do I put the light in this eye? Are there any rules to where it should go?
Yep. Well, my rule is follow the picture, because if you follow the picture, you're following the lighting. If you change the light source on the left, you'll have to change the animal as well, because the light's hitting that side of the face. So you're asking for trouble if you try that. You could restrict. If you look at the left eye and you see that obviously a window or something that you can see reflected, you could darken the eye like you did the one on the right hand side, but leave that light more or less as it is, that main light area. You get away with that. But if you changed it, you'd be in trouble.
Difficult.
You'd be on your own, and I certainly wouldn't do it. It would be too risky. You see, lighting is important, and once you change the light of an eye, it changes everything about the light that's hitting the animal.
It's that is not easy to get around. That's a real reflection in there, isn't there? There's no you can't see really anything in there.
No, that's why I say you'd have to improvise a little bit. This is again, you see, a question. If the eye's right and you don't like the picture and you feel that it's going to be awkward, I wouldn't do it. That's up to Jill. I mean, if she does it, then it's on her head. But if she said to me, "Would you do it?" I said, "No, sorry, I need another picture." And the other reason why another picture, I'm not absolutely convinced that proportion's correct. If you look at the body, it seems very small for the size of the head. I think the picture may well be suspect.
The camera looks like it's been taken a bit too close, and
That's right.
It's like
Mm,
the head looks big.
that's right.
But yeah, difficult.
So you see, folks out there in the animal portrait land, if you look at pictures like this and you think, "Oh, I think I'll do that," then you take your life in your hands, especially if it's a commission, because all the trouble and problems you're going to have with a picture of that kind, is it really worth it? The owner could come back and say, "Oh, yes, it's all right, but it doesn't quite look like my dog." No, it's not your fault, because you've just followed the the photographic reference, which you have to. See, if you look at the nose there, look how big that nose looks compared with the
Yeah,
animal. Now,
I just noticed that. Now you've pointed that out.
I'm slightly putting you off this, I think, aren't I? But this is the problem you have when you have a camera which is really lying to you.
Yeah, that is difficult to get. I mean, we've spoken about it on so many podcasts in the past anyway, of how difficult getting a reference photo is,
Mm.
and getting someone to take a really good picture. Um, yeah, that's hard. That is difficult, but it's a good example. And thanks, Jill, for sending it over, because we get to show it and offer your opinions, Dad, as a professional, what you would do. And simple thing is, wouldn't do it. So
That's it.
there you
I'm
go.
afraid that is the rule. I'm afraid it's sad though, because it does mean you've got to go and explain that to people. But like I've said before, you can always say, "Well, I've had a word with my tutor, and he said he wouldn't do it." Well, I've got to follow his advice, haven't I?
Yeah, yeah. Use us. Use us.
Yeah, absolutely. I've always said this in the past. Use me, blame me, if you like. That blooming Colin Bradley won't let me do your lovely picture. I want to do it, but he won't let me.
There you go. You've got a scapegoat now. You can use. Um, Excellent. Well, I hope that's helped everyone watching. Quite a lot of submissions this week. Keep them coming, and we'll be back in another couple of weeks with some more feedback for you, and another podcast next week. So back to the normal grind with all of our shows. And if you have enjoyed this show, if it has helped you, leave us a comment and let us know what you thought, and hit that thumbs up button on YouTube. Just lets us know that you enjoyed it and you thought it was good, and then we'll keep doing them all the time. You keep sending your work in, we'll keep doing them. You never know, one time in a couple of weeks' time, or 6 months' time, we might not have any submissions. Then I'll have
Oh,
to
well.
just turn the camera on, and put the cat on camera and entertain you for half an hour. Uh, um, anyway, anyway, that's it. So thanks everyone for tuning in. I'm Stephen Bradley.
And I'm Colin Bradley.
Bye.